Chapter 1 of The Sword of Damocles. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Mary Bard, Derby, England. The Sword of Damocles by Katharine Green. Dedication. To my father I dedicate this book, as expressing some of the principles of justice and mercy, which by precept and example he has instilled into my breast from early childhood. When all else fails, love saves. Damocles, one of the courtiers of Dionysius, was perpetually extolling with rapture that tyrant's treasures, grandeur, the number of his troops, the extent of his dominions, the magnificence of his palaces, and the universal abundance of all good things and enjoyments in his possession, always repeating that never man was happier than Dionysius. "Since you are of that opinion," said the tyrant to him one day, "will you taste and make proof of my felicity in person?" The offer was accepted with joy. Damocles was placed upon a golden couch, covered with carpets richly embroidered. The sideboards were loaded with vessels of gold and silver. The most beautiful slaves in the most splendid habits stood around, ready to serve him at the slightest signal. The most exquisite essences and perfumes had not been spared. The table was spread with proportionate magnificence. Damocles was all joy, and looked upon himself as the happiest man in the world, when, unfortunately, casting up his eyes, he beheld over his head the point of a sword, which hung from the roof only by a single horsehair. Rollin. Book 1. Two Men. Chapter 1. A Wanderer. There's no such word. Bulwer. A wind was blowing through the city, not a gentle and balmy zephyr stirring the locks on gentle ladies' foreheads and rustling the curtains in elegant boudoirs, but a chill and bitter gale that rushed with a swoop through narrow alleys and forsaken courtyards, biting the cheeks of the few solitary wanderers that still lingered abroad in the darkened streets. In front of a cathedral that reared its lofty steeple in the midst of the squalid houses, and worse than squalid saloons, of one of the dreariest portions of the East Side, stood the form of a woman. She had paused in her rush down the narrow street to listen to the music perhaps, or to catch a glimpse of the light that now and then burst from the widely swinging doors as they opened and shut upon some tardy worshipper. She was tall and fearful-looking. Her face, when the light struck it, was seared and desperate. Gloom and desolation were written on all the lines of her rigid but wasted form, and when she shuddered under the gale, it was with that force and abandon to which passion lends its aid, and in which the soul proclaims its doom. Suddenly the doors before her swung wide, and the preacher's voice was heard. "Love God, and you will love your fellow men. Love your fellow men, and you best show your love to God." She heard, started, and the charm was broken. "Love," she echoed with a horrible laugh. "There is no love in heaven or on earth." And she swept by, and the winds followed, and the darkness swallowed her up like a gulf. End of chapter 1. Chapter 2 of The Sword of Damocles by Katharine Green. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A discussion. Young men think old men fools, and old men know young men to be so. Ray's Proverbs. "And you are actually in earnest?" "I am." The first speaker, a fine-looking gentleman of some 40 years of age, drummed with his fingers on the table before him, and eyed
Sample complete. Ready to continue?